What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and in this video I do want to go over a topic I have been seeing pop up a bit recently. So is the small map in Motorfest going to be an issue, at least when it comes to like having things to do and or like overall exploration around that map, at least compared to the Crew 2? Obviously the map in the Crew 2 is going to be insanely massive, but I have to admit one thing though, guys. Even though the map is going to be massive, doesn't necessarily mean that's going to make the overall like experience on that game that much better. Obviously, depending on the game, like for example Elden Ring, that's going to be completely different than like a racing game. But if we look at something like the Crew 2, for example, though, yes, the map is huge. Now a lot of the areas around the map though, this can actually cut down on like the overall graphics of the game, having issues with lighting and or a lot of other issues with the game. For example, the headlights do not work, and you will also notice small things like the trees and or the buildings not loading in at a distance, which obviously the map is going to be massive, so I'm not really too surprised about that. And I would probably say small graphical errors like that are most likely not going to be an issue. And obviously the map does need to load in when you are going to certain areas, so that's really not going to be a big deal. You can also see this in other games with big maps as well, so that's most likely not going to be like a deal breaker. But for me though, guys, a lot of these small details they could work on are most likely not going to be able to actually be fixed and or really like fine-tune certain things like they did in Motorfest. So for example, on this I did mention the headlights not working, and the overall lighting in the Crew 2 was honestly awful at nighttime. You could barely see anything around this entire map, especially at night, and I do know a lot of players most likely hated the overall lighting in this game, which can definitely come down to like the insane size of this map. So at least some small details like this are going to be addressed. The overall lighting in Motorfest is by far super far ahead of the Crew 2. Like for example, guys, I know this might sound insane, but yes, your headlights actually work correctly. I was noticing in certain areas, like for example off-roading in like a mountain, the headlights really do work insanely well, even in first and or third person. You can definitely see how like the overall lighting in Motorfest is miles ahead of the Crew 2. And not only, guys, is the lighting going to be better in this game, now this could come down to like the map size. I do feel like a lot of things are also going to be heavily improved, which we did see in the beta. For example, one thing I noticed right off the bat in the first car that I drove, the engine sound is also going to be way better in basically every car I used. Not only in like the motorcycles and or like the Alpha GP cars, but my goodness, the street cars and the hypercars sound insane. I was also noticing in certain areas as well, like going around the map, you will notice the sound actually bounces off like the buildings and or like the rock faces. Now I know some may argue that it might not necessarily be like the smaller map size that's making this all happen, but to be honest, guys, I really do feel like they can actually fine-tune details and really make a lot of these small things that much better in like a racing game, which to be honest I would say a lot of people definitely love the sound of their vehicle and or like which car they might be running, like let's say the Supra, and then jumping into something like a Bugatti and actually cruising around and or vibing. I really do think having that is going to be insanely important. That's probably why Need for Speed back in the day also did so dang good because of that reason. So I would probably say having upgraded engine sounds in this game, which I really do think is most likely going to come down to that smaller map size. That way they really can focus on some of these smaller details. So the overall experience in Motorfest really is going to be heavily improved, especially when it does come to the actual map design. I really do feel like a lot of players are most likely going to love it. I also did see some people saying like the map in Motorfest does look small. To be honest, guys, after playing the beta a lot, I put well over 50 hours into it, which I do think that most likely does sound slightly insane, because 50 hours in a beta, I guess you can probably say that person really did enjoy the game. I really cannot wait for Motorfest to release here soon. But one thing I also noticed about the Motorfest map, guys, obviously it is in Hawaii, and the overall coloring in this map is honestly beautiful. Like, I really have to give it to Ivory Tower and or Ubisoft. Like, the map is such an amazing vibe. Like, it's kind of insane. When driving around in like the Tacoma and or like the Bronco off-road, you can really see like the coloring of the map, and like the overall atmosphere is incredible. It really is going to be an amazing atmosphere, especially for racing, whether you like off-road racing and or like just driving on the road. I really do feel like the overall coloring and or atmosphere of this map is honestly incredible, and I would probably say so many people really are going to like this. But I do want to mention something though. I would probably say many players might end up bringing up like the mirrors not working. To be honest guys, during my time in the beta I really did not even notice this, but I really can see if you are driving in first person mode, you do kind of need your mirrors to actually work, so I would almost guarantee that they most likely will have this settled when this game does release here soon, but only time is going to tell on that. But I would like to know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Are you guys happy with how the map is going to be smaller in Motorfest? I would almost say most players are probably going to like the Motorfest map a lot more than the crew too.